Over the last few years that we've been doing our community initiatives of giving money to different parts of our church and encouraging them to go out, we have been in the newspaper 20 times in a year. We've been on CNN.com, we've been in the New York Times, we've been in the Wall Street Journal, we've been in Collide magazine, we've been all over the place. We've been on a current affair. I mean, we've had a ton of media attention, and we're a church of about 1,000 people in a tiny little town in the middle of Michigan. And so by no rights should we ever be famous or well regarded, but we've been able to get in the media a ton, and always favorably. Reporters and TV newscasters are always saying nice things about our church, and here's why. We are not promoting our church. We are actively engaged in the mission of Jesus, and that brings good news. And so oftentimes other pastors will come and they'll ask us and they'll say, hey, how do you guys get in the paper so much? And we can't get them to cover our event at all. And we'll say, well, what's your event? And they'll go, well, we're having a picnic. I go, well, a picnic isn't news. How about it's a back to school picnic? Yeah, it's still not news. I mean, unless 40% of the population of your city is showing up, there's no way a reporter is covering your picnic, because nobody cares. Because in the eyes of your community, that picnic doesn't matter. You know what matters is if poor people get new jobs that provide sufficient income so they're no longer poor. That's news. That's good news, man. They want to be a part of that. If people are sick and they get access to a new kind of help because of your church, that's news, man. People want to know that. People want to be involved in that. If something like arts funding or tutoring or sports funding has been cut from a local school, and you get involved and you fill in the gap, as we did a couple of years ago, where we offered like free athletic preparatory trials to football players. So we gave them full physicals and had them get blood work done, and we covered all the costs for that as a church, and that was all over the paper, because that's us doing something loving and meaningful for people in the community. It's good news, man. What the paper wants, what the media wants, is they want to see somebody who's sad become happy. They need like a human interest piece. They need a special interest piece. So the smartest thing you can do, honestly, is just find out who the local reporters are that cover the community section of your newspaper and take them out for lunch. And just get to know them, befriend them, pastor them. Don't ask them for anything. Don't ask them to do an expose, or don't ask them to do a special feature on your church. I mean, don't prostitute yourself, and don't ask them to do likewise. No. Befriend them, love them, find out what they care about, find out what they like, and then find out if there's any crossover points between your church and the ministry that you're doing and what they're interested in. So there's lots of examples that I could give about that. Of course, the football example, but we did a thing a few years ago where we did a 24-hour art festival because the local art funding had been cut from all of our elementary schools. And so we gathered all of the artists in our city, not the artists in our church. I mean, they were involved too, but the artists in our city. So non-believers, believers and practitioners of alternative religions. We gathered together all these people and we did a 24-hour art festival. We said, whatever art you create in the next 24 hours and you sell within that same period of time frame, give it back to the kids, man. Let's pay for scholarships for these kids to go to summer camp, summer art camp. So we did. We had over 100 artists create art for 24 hours. They raised over $15,000 to give money back to these kids. The event was called Art Apart. We did it several years in a row, and it ended up providing scholarships for 50, 60 kids to go to summer art camp. And guess what? That made big news, because it was great, because it was exciting, because it wasn't about our church. It was about what we were doing to heal the world. And the newspapers know, man, the world needs healing. They want churches that are on the side of their city, and they'll tell the story when they find them.